Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I'll be showing you how to make this football graphic. As always, watch through the entire duration of the video and like, subscribe, comment and tell me what you want to see next. Let's get into it. Recently a commenter requested for a UEFA Champions League Matchday fixture poster. So here we are. We will be creating one between Liverpool and Real Madrid. So let's get into it. What we're going to start by doing is grouping the two Liverpool images together and making a layer mask. We're going to turn down our flow to around 20%. And I've just gone with the green kits for Liverpool just because I like these two renders, even though I know they're not going to be wearing green at home. It's just for a matchday poster. And next, we'll group our Rodrigo image together. And again, do the same thing. But we just want to keep a little bit of his arm in. So we'll just make sure to keep a bit of his arm in. Now that we've done that, we're going to start on the shadows for Hazard. So we'll get our floor shadow brush and turn our flow back up to 100% and start on the shadows. Like so and like so. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move this Hazard image across a little bit, just to about there. And we'll start with a green background gradient, and we'll get our font, which will be Babus New because it's similar to what Liverpool use in majority of their graphics. Liverpool. FC. And Real Madrid. And we'll make the Real Madrid text slightly smaller and move it a little bit across. Group it together and turn on the outer glow. Make sure we've got our blacks selected. And we'll just turn the opacity down to around 26%. To start off with, and we'll make sure these two are in line with each other like so. Now what we're going to do is we're going to come to Eden Hazard and create a clipping mask, turn down the flow to around 20%, reset our brush colors, and with our shadow we'll just start drawing shadows onto him. Like so. And we can see the difference that that makes already. For my next step, I'm going to drag and drop the Champions League logo into the top left corner. Actually, no, into the top right corner. And just increase the size a little bit to what I had there. And we'll change this to a white color overlay. Move it a little bit down so it's not just exactly in the right corner. And we might again increase the size just a little bit. Now what I'm going to do is create two new layers. Come to rectangle and make a rectangle. Just make this square a bit more square. Like so. And duplicate that so they sit next to each other. And that's where our two logos will be going. To separate the background from the foreground, what I'm going to do is I've dragged and dropped some smoke in. Now I'm going to create a clipping mask, turn this green up really light and select overlay and draw some green smoke onto the images. Now we'll move this up a tiny little bit like so, and now we'll come to this Hazard, and what we're going to do is we're going to go to filter and go to camera raw filter, increase the exposure, clarity in the texture and the contrast, maybe decrease the saturation a tiny bit, turn up the shadows, then come to detail and increase the sharpening like so, and we'll duplicate that because we like it, and we'll put it on the rest of the renders we've got here like so. Delete it and put the clipping mask back on and do the same for the other two. Bang and bang. Now that we've got our camera all set, what I'm going to do is select the entire composition minus the text and smoke, and we're just going to tilt this a little bit to the left and bring it a little bit over, just because I want a bit of that tilted effect that we've got. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come up to the top left, and we're going to move this Champions League badge a little bit over. Now that we've done that, what we've typed out, and again, we'll make sure it's in line, like so. And we'll grab a red from the Liverpool kit, just make it a little bit more red, and select the V and make that red, just to match kind of what Liverpool have been doing with their graphics. Now what we're going to do is move the text up again, as I said, and come back into the effects and increase the outer glow. And we'll duplicate it, turn this part, all of this, to bold. Duplicate it again, like so, and we'll type in the match details, which is Tuesday the 21st of February. Anfield, let's make sure our spacing of the text is correct. And our paragraph angle, Anfield. Like so, Anfield, and the kickoff time is 8 p.m. What I've just done is I've moved the text along, so that's all just coming towards the end of the FC text for Liverpool. And now we're just going to fix this up slightly as well. And now I'm going to create a red rectangle layer, just make it really small and thin, and put it right up against next to the text, like so. There we go. That's pretty much perfect. Might make it a tiny little bit smaller, like so, and maybe a little bit longer. There we go. What I'm still going to do is I'm going to increase the exposure on top of Hazard, and maybe just, again, turn down the saturation, just because he has a little bit too yellow harsh tones for me. Fuck, mate. I have no idea how to go with this. I'll turn these two to white. I'm going to turn the two box layers up the top to white, and we'll grab the Liverpool logo. Like so. And put it top left corner. And put it, make sure it's in line with the box we've got going. And now we'll get the Real Madrid logo. And now we've dragged and dropped the Real Madrid logo in. What we'll do is we'll make sure it's middled, like so. And we'll turn this one to a grey. Like so. And now we'll group it all together and turn on an outer glow. Perfect. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this Harvey Elliott graphic around a little bit and increase the sizing just a little bit and move it over. And I might increase the sizing of this Trent and angle him slightly as well. And move the Vinny Jr. over a little bit. And I also might make the size of the Hazard graphic, Hazard render a little bit bigger, just to match everything. And also increase the text size. Like so. Now that we've got a good composition going, what I'm going to do is create a layer behind Rodrigo. Make sure I've got my black brush selected and draw in some shadow. And then do the same for Harvey Elliott. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to solid color come to this blue, clip it, press Ctrl I to invert the clipping mask, come to color, make sure we've got our white selected, turn the flow back up to 100%, and turn our brush size down. And with color selected on the opacity, we'll just draw in some nice blues onto Rodrigo's eyes. And with that selected, I'm going to choose brightness and contrast, turn the brightness up, and also choose black and white, but we'll put that below and increase the reds and pretty much all the colors to make the yellow stand out, blue stand out, sorry. And we'll do the exact same for Harvey Elliott. But what we'll do is we'll clear the layer. So just holding Control and Backspace just to delete what we've previously got. So we'll come in and black and white the eyes to start with. And then hold everything else the same. Just to make those eyes pop a little bit more. And the exact same for Trent as well. Control Backspace, Control Backspace, Control Backspace. Color fill, brightness and contrast. And as we can see, the smoke is a little bit not sitting correctly, and the layer mask. So we're just going to increase that and come in and fix the layer mask for the group too. Turn down the flow to around 22% and fix the layer mask. Now we'll come back into the camera raw filter for Rodrigo. And again, increase the exposure just because I want it to be bursting, similar to how the exposure is sitting for Harvey Elliott and Trent Alexander-Arnold. And I'll also come in and add some more shadowing behind him, just because we want a clear difference between the two images. You can just see the difference that that makes. Now what I'm going to do is, if you've watched my previous videos, I'm going to do my normal color correction setup. So color lookup, clipping mask, 3 strip, and now what we're going to do is create 2 new layers, call them W and B, select overlay, turn our flow back up to 100 and our opacity down to around 30%, and draw over the highlights that are already on the image. Like so. Keep drawing over the highlights. Now that that's done, we'll draw over the shadows. Might just drop the opacity down a little bit. And we can see the difference that that makes. And we'll do the same for the rest of the images. Overlay, W and B. Start with the highlights. Might actually increase the exposure a little bit on Harvey and Trent. And drop down the sharpening just a tiny little bit. So we'll start with the highlights again. Increase the exposure back up, sorry, the opacity back up. Like so, and now we'll do our shadows. And let's see the difference that makes. Just draws out the face a little bit more and makes it look a little bit more realistic. And we'll do the exact same for Trent. Overlay, W and B. Start with our whites. and draw on the highlights. And now we'll draw on the shadows. Like so. And we'll do the same for hazard. W and B. Like so. And we'll switch this to blacks and draw on our shadows. And I'm going to quickly go over the kit. And we can just see the differences that makes. For our next step, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag and drop a wallpaper in of Anfield. In like so. Make sure it actually goes behind the composition. Put it like there. And we'll grab a dramatic looking image of the sky. Also put that in. What we're going to do is we're going to turn this one off. Turn this to overlay. Make this a little bit bigger so that watermark isn't featured in it. And now we'll turn this one to color. Sorry, not color. Group these together. And now turn this to color. Come to adjustment layers, black and white. And now what we're going to do is we will turn our opacity back up and the flow back down to around 20%. And just mask out some of the areas that we don't want. And we'll very quickly mask some of the sky at the bottom. Like so. Now what I'm going to do is group all this together. Press Ctrl Shift Alt and E. Come to Camera Raw. Increase the exposure. A little bit of the clarity and the texture. Contrast as well. Come to grain and increase the grain. Probably to around 10 and the vignetting to around -3. And now let's see if a color lookup layer works. This one sort of does. I like the dark undertones it has. So I'll increase it to around 30%. And there we go. That's how you make this UCL fixtures graphic. If you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, comment what you want to see next. See ya.